Once upon a time, there was a park, and in that park there was a strong and beautiful tree. One day, a small mushy beetle crawled up the tree. He muttered to himself all the time. He looked odd, wearing a weathered black fur coat. Reaching the top, the beetle sat down comfortably, looked around and started laughing around loud. Moments later, the beetle became serious and looked at the leaves one by one and said, "What a bunch of fools you are!" With these words, he got up and walked slowly out of the tree again, muttering to himself. What was that strange beetle doing here? The leaves didn't understand. They had never been laughed at or called fools. They were healthy and strong, and they were important to the tree, but fools, no. This all happened on a beautiful day, when the sun was shining. As always, the leaves converted sunlight into energy for the rest of the tree. And as always, the sun told beautiful stories, and the leaves listened with pleasure. Today, the sun told a beautiful story about winter and snow. And as always, the sun ended his story with the words, "Everything lives because of me." Hearing these last words, one of the leaves got a flash of insight. Of course we are dumb. As the sun is the most important to all living things, so are we the most important to all of the tree. We are the only ones who can convert sunlight into energy. And that's why we are the most important. That was what the beetle saw. Of course we are stupid, because we never experienced the winter. We just let ourselves fall from the tree when the trunk indicates that our time has come. A bunch of stupid fools we are. When the other leaves heard this, they had realized it too. Yes, of course. Indeed. We are mortal, and that's not right. We are far too important for that. They immediately got to work. And sure enough, they developed a technique that kept the sap flowing through this trunk, and so the leaves managed to live longer. A few leaves even managed to survive the winter. They were exhausted, but they made it. The leaves developed a great self-esteem. They were more important than the rest of the tree, and they began to overcome their mortality. Yet what happened? The trunk that had always carried them with such strength didn't feel so strong anymore. It seemed as if it was beginning to sink a little crookedly. The leaves shook and went to investigate. They found that the trunk was beginning to succumb to their efforts. The leaves now had an extra task. In addition to working on their own mortality, they also had to take care of the trunk now. The workload increased. They had to do work all the time. There was no room at all for the beautiful stories of the sun or playing with the wind. The leaves started to get stressed. Some leaves began to wonder, why are we doing all of this? Was it perhaps an idea to stop the efforts to be immortal? Bah, ridiculous idea, said the other. That doesn't fit the system. How can you come up with the idea of voluntary letting go? Impossible, ridiculous idea. When the leaves noticed that despite their efforts the trunk was continuing to sink, they knew something had to change. They couldn't go on like this. In a little while the tree would die, and that would be the end of them. Yet, what to do? They were so tired. They didn't know how to continue any further. A group of leaves kept on fighting bravely, despite everything. Another group hesitated. They had been doing that for far too long, and it was that very battle that had brought them here. Yet, what then? If you don't fight, what happens? Would that mean the end? They were so tired. It was this moment of despair when the leaves suddenly felt the warmth of the sun again. The warmth that was familiar to them all, but which they had forgotten in their struggle. This warmth gave them the confidence and strength to give up the fight without knowing where it would lead. In the warmth of the sun, one by one, the leaves stopped the struggle, following their nature, voluntarily dropping from the trunk. The trunk was now bold for the first time in a long time. The trunk stood there for 1, 2, 3 years. In the 4th year, a miracle became visible. Very carefully, one small, fresh leaf came on one of the branches, and then another, and another. Wow, the tree had used the rest to recover, and now it regained strength, and fresh leaves grew from the tree. Then in the years that followed, the tree became more and more beautiful, bigger and stronger than ever. The leaves of this tree had learned an important lesson. They were part of the tree. They came forth from the tree, and the tree took care of them. They knew now that fighting their mortality, fighting for the trunk, really any struggle was utterly useless. They knew now that whatever the trunk gave them, it was good. The tree devised a beautiful ritual for this lesson, to never be forgotten. From that moment on, in the fall, the leaves dress in the most beautiful colors. And so we all are reminded that letting go is a celebration and not the end. Brothers and sisters of this earth, as the leaves found their place in creation by ceasing the struggle, so I also call on all of you to cease your fight. Humanity has a history of war. As far as we go back in history, there has always been war. Yet, what has that brought us? The earth is now exhausted, and so are we humans. Fighting wounds, loving heals. The new era we are stepping into is an era of connection and love. We do not enter that era by fighting. We enter that era by letting go of the fight. Our fight for freedom, our fight against power, our fight for survival, and above all, our internal fight within ourselves. Let it go, and you will find yourself in a place where you have never been before.